What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Sam's Family Reacts. Today we're talking about Ilhan Omar. This is one woman that truly makes my blood boil because in politics, money always tells a story. And sometimes the story changes real fast depending on who's telling it. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar went from reporting financial modesty in her personal finances to suddenly being connected to business assets in the multi-million-dollar range. Really? So now that both Congress and federal agencies are taking a closer look, Donald Trump is the problem. Now that all of this fraud is being uncovered in Minnesota, ICE needs to go. I cannot understand for the life of me why people are upset that all of this fraud is being uncovered and no one is upset at the fraud at this point, it seems like. And that's really frustrating as a taxpaying citizen. So today we're going to take a look at Ilhan Omar, her finances, and what Trump's DOJ is going to do about it. Hopefully something besides a strongly worded letter. Let's head on over to Fox, see what they got to say.
All right, Sanders, all of that is going on. There's this, the Trump administration looking into the finances of squad member Ilhan Omar. But now we are learning that the Biden Justice Department also reportedly took an interest in the Minnesota Congresswoman's finances. Chad Pergram is live on Capitol Hill. You look at her financial disclosure. All right, Sanders, all of that is going on. There's this, the Trump administration looking into the finances of squad member Ilhan Omar. But now we are learning that the Biden Justice Department also reportedly took an interest in the Minnesota Congresswoman's finances. Chad Pergram is live on Capitol Hill. You look at her financial disclosures, Chad, she gained a lot of wealth in a very short period of time.
Yeah, John, that's what we're studying this afternoon. President Trump hinted that the DOJ is, quote, looking at Ilhan Omar, but this scrutiny may date back to 2024. President Trump lambasted Omar last week.
And then we have this fake congressperson who they just reported is worth $30 million. You believe this? Ilhan Omar, talking about the Constitution provides me. She comes from a country that's not a country, and she's telling us how to run America. Not going to get away with it much longer.
It's not clear how the president arrived at those numbers. Federal disclosure reports show that her husband's ventures account for much of their wealth. Their winery in Santa Rosa jumped from a valuation of $15,000 to as much as $5 million a year later. His investment firm skyrocketed from mere dollars in 2023 to as much as $25 million in 2024. The House Oversight Committee is probing Omar. It's part of the investigation studying Minnesota fraud.
We're going to find out. It's not going to be hard to figure out what business he's in and where the money came from. So that's going to be a central part of our entire Minnesota fraud investigation, because she is the leader in Congress, in the district, in the congressional district, where the overwhelming majority of the welfare fraud is taking place.
Omar denies wrongdoing, but has ducked questions on Capitol Hill.
What your response is to the Oversight Committee launching an investigation into your net worth, you and your husband's net worth? They're claiming that it's risen rapidly.
Since when is Ilhan Omar ever speechless? Every time she gets a mic in front of her mouth, she's glad to say something, to blame something on racism, to blame something on Donald Trump. She's always more than happy to try to flip the script. Except now. I wonder why.
What's your response to what they're saying?
No comment.
Omar,
I really hate the fact that everything is labeled a conspiracy theories now, to whereas us real conspiracy theorists, we can't have nothing now because all the conspiracies end up coming up to be true. Now, Benny Johnson did something that was like fantastic, some phenomenal work and deep digging today. He posted on X an investigation that he did into this winery. You know how Fox just mentioned the winery she had in California? I didn't know nothing about this winery, but apparently she has a winery in California that accounts for a lot of her and her husband's finances. Let's see what Benny Johnson uncovered about this winery in California, because it's pretty interesting if you ask me. Benny Johnson says, this must be a very successful winery to grow that much in value in over 1 year, except the winery does not even exist. There's no phone line, no physical winery itself. The social media has gone dark, a barely functional website, and no wine. It gets worse. Ilhan's third husband, Tim Minette, has been accused of defrauding investors through this fake winery. He was sued by investors for millions because it's all fraudulent. This is on brand. Minnesota AG Keith Ellison previously worked with Minette, the same AG who's refused to investigate widespread Somali fraud. How does a non-existent winery jump from $15K in the first year to $5 million in a year when the company is a ghost? How can Omar claim this fake company provides her millions in assets and it doesn't exist? It seems like a cover. Ironically, one of the wine labels that they made was literally called The Devil's Lie. And Ilhan Omar is so good at throwing these little things out to the American people and trying to smack them in the face with their own constitution, with their own lies, and with their own rules and regulations. Like, I literally cringe when I hear her speak because it's the entitlement in her voice, as if she worked hard to obtain these millions of dollars in fraud payments, while Americans like us, we just sitting here working hard paying all these taxes so that they can defraud us. Let's look at and listen to Billy Johnson's investigation into this today. He did a really good investigation.
To jail. Have a look at this. Here's Ilhan Omar's financial disclosure from the Congressional Record, year 2023. I want to bring your attention to this company right down here, Est Crew LLC. This is a winery in Santa Rosa, California. It's not doing that well. The total value of the winery is listed at $15,000, and Ilhan Omar's barely making any money off of it at all. Hardly enough to pay a parking ticket. Okay, that's fine. Nothing really mysterious there. Businesses fail all the time. But go ahead and look at her filing for 2024, and you'll find that Est Crew Winery, the same company in the same location, is now worth $5 million. That's incredible, up from $15,000. And now Ilhan Omar's making enough to pay rent. So this must be one of the most successful companies ever. Let's go ahead and check in on this winery. You know, maybe we could buy some wine. I like wine. Why not? Let's see if we can buy some Est Crew Winery. Here's Est Crew's social media Facebook page. You'll see here that the last post, oh no, was in 2023. Wasn't this the year that they were supposed to, go really big and make Ilhan Omar millions of dollars? Same thing on their Instagram, and they don't have an X. So let's go ahead and check their official website. What is Est Crew? We are winemakers and memory curators. Okay, Est Crew Winery has a bunch of brands that's led by these people, creators of eye-catching labels. So I'm sure I can go and get some of their wine, right? Well, they don't have any activities here, so maybe I could just go to their location and buy some of their wines, or maybe give them a call. Let's try.
Benny Johnson, low-key, has some of the most joyous humor that I have ever seen in a person who's like trying not to be funny, but it's just funny because they're so corny, but they're funny. That's Benny Johnson.
Go to their location here. This is the Google Street View of Est Crew Winery, and what you'll find here is an empty parking lot. Doesn't actually look like an operational business. Certainly isn't the same name. So, okay, let's go ahead and give them a call. See if maybe they pick up. Let's go ahead and call the number on the webpage. Let's go ahead and give them a call and find out. Oh no, user busy. Let's try that. Okay. Well, I've done this like 20 times today. Okay, so that didn't work. Is there any wine in this wine company? Is there anything about wines? Because I see like stuff about events, but like, what is this exactly? Aren't you supposed to sell wine at your wine company? Where are your wines? Oh, there are no wines. You want to know why? Because this is a fake company. Rep. Ilhan Omar's husband accused of swindling investors in their California winery. They stole millions from cannabis growers.
Wow.
You see here's the lawsuit right here, saying that Tim Minette, who's Ilhan Omar's third husband, no relation, swindled his investor.
Y'all catch that? No relation? Yeah, because she allegedly married her brother the first time in order for him or her to gain citizenship. But let's continue.
And defrauded them. How did Minette get this relationship? Well, the current Attorney General of Minnesota, Keith Ellison, used to work for him.
Oh.
Isn't that curious? Keith Ellison, the same guy who refuses to look into any of the Somali fraud. So this company was sued for being a fraudulent company. And the New York Post says the exact same thing, as the House is now probing the mystery of Ilhan Omar's skyrocketing wealth. They said that Ilhan Omar went from being one of the poorest members of Congress, worth negative $65,000, to being one of the richest, worth $30 million. Here's a rare photo of one of their wines that they allegedly made, The Devil's Lie. But the entire company is actually a lie. It's not a lie to Ilhan Omar, though, because she's able to list an enormous amount of her income and an enormous amount of her net worth to this fake winery. This winery is not worth $5 million. The winery doesn't even exist. It's fake. It's fraudulent. They need to investigate this right now. This is a lie. And maybe it's the devil's lie.
Maybe it is the devil's lie. I believe it is. I believe Ilhan Omar was sent to Minnesota via Governor Tim Walz, because y'all know how Tim Walz used to be in China all the time. And I just feel like, hello?
Yeah, I gotta get another CD up.
Now, what interests me in this story, though, about Ilhan Omar is her husband. And this particular husband that's making her so rich, this is her third husband. And when I was digging into information about her husband, no one explains it better than Mr. Hannibal himself. So let's listen to how Mr. Hannibal explains Ilhan Omar's relationship with her husband and how it started. Check this out.
This guy's history with business is concerning. So Omar hires Minette's consulting firm, the E Street Group, back in 2018 for her campaign. Standard political consulting stuff, except then in August 2019, Minette's wife filed for divorce, claiming he's having an affair with Omar. Both of them deny it. Then in October 2019, Omar files for divorce from her husband. And in March 2020, surprise, Omar announces that she's marrying Tim Minette. But here is the financial part that should make your eyebrows raise like The Rock. Between 2018 and 2020, Omar's campaign paid Minette's E Street Group nearly $3 million. That represented 78% of the firm's total revenue. Let me say that again. Her campaign was basically his entire business. And then when they got married and the public started asking questions, Omar cut ties with E Street Group in November 2020. And guess what happened? Those same campaign services that cost her $3 million when her husband's firm did it, now they only cost $1 million when other companies do them. So either Minette was overcharging by 200%, or actually, no, that's it. That's exactly what happened. He was overcharging by 200%, and she was paying it with campaign funds. But wait, we're still not done with Minette's business dealings. His partner in both Rose Lake Capital and the winery is a guy by the name of Will Haler. Now, check this out. Will Haler and Minette met working for, get this, now Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison when he was in Congress. Both were political operatives before they turned into venture capitalism in the wine industry. Haler was a senior advisor to the former Democratic National Committee chairman, Tom Perez, and also had an extensive history working for Ellison, who was also the DNC co-chair. You cannot make this up. And Haler just paid $1.2 million to settle a lawsuit from a South Dakota cannabis companies. What was that lawsuit about? Fraud. They accused Haler of promising to triple their $3.5 million investment in days or weeks. Spoiler alert, he did not deliver. They only got $1.8 million back, and Haler had to pay them $1.2 for the missing funds plus damages. So Tim Minette's business partner in these supposedly multi-million-dollar ventures just settled a fraud lawsuit. And that business partner is co-running the companies that's supposedly making Omar's family worth $30 million. So this is a bunch of either incompetency or just outright fraud. And oh yeah, one more thing. because it gets worse. The company that Minetz co-founded has its funds frozen by the U.S. Treasury Department, by the U.S. Treasury Department's Office of Foreign Assets Control. The U.S. Treasury Office of Foreign Assets Control, they handle financial transactions related to international embargoes, terrorist organizations, and recognized enemies of the United States. That's not a normal Tuesday for a political consultant turned venture capitalist. When your business partner settles fraud cases and the Treasury Department freezes your assets, maybe, just maybe, your business isn't on the up and up. Then in late 2024, as the scrutiny increased, Rose Lake Capital website had a complete makeover. They scrubbed all details about their offices and their advisors. 9 people's names just disappeared because nothing says legitimate business like frantically deleting evidence when people started to ask questions. And of course, we could talk about the $250 million fraud called Feeding Our Future. We've discussed this on the channel. We didn't talk about the legislation that she tried to author to get more money. Because this goes more than just the donors that were committing fraud on that and giving her campaign money.
Treasury Secretary Bessent called Minnesota ground zero for what may be the most egregious welfare scam in our nation's history to date. 85 of the 98 people who were charged by the Justice Department with this welfare scheme are Somali. And you know this, the Treasury Secretary is probing whether any of the money was somehow funneled outside the country. He actually issued new standards. He's going to make it make someone disclose if they receive public assistance when they try to wire money out of the country, and he's lowered the bar for suspicious activity. What is the practical impact of doing that in the community?
There should be none, but of course, she's going to make it some way, somehow. She's going to make them, the fraudsters, the Somalians, the victim.
It's creating fear.
In 2020,
told you, just creating fear. That's what she says. That's her answer to it all. I don't understand how a congressperson can go from being flat broke to a millionaire in a couple of years. Her husband go from barely making it to a millionaire in a year. And no one looking into this deep enough to make a charge, to bankrupt them, to send them back where they came from. She might be eligible to be a legalized citizen now because she's married to an American, but the terms and conditions from which she originally gained her citizenship, all of that's been in question for years, not just with this administration. It actually started with the Biden administration. Fox just told you, the Biden administration first started probing her finances. So what happened? And then to think that Tim Walz was almost the VP, that's not coincidental. That was not a coincidence. It's a web. It's a web of lies, it's a web of fraud, and it's a web of thieves that all start in DC, and that web reaches throughout the whole 4, 5, 6 corners of the country. And it's sad, it's so sick and depressing to watch. Someone like Ilhan Omar having the luxury of coming to this country and creating the life that she has, and then get so entitled that she's going to dictate to us how this country is ran and dictate to us what's done on the soil of this country, it sickens me. It's actually embarrassing because you're not going to no other country and telling them what they're going to do on their soil. Try doing that in China. Try going over there with Putin and doing that. It's not going to happen. It's just something that's simply not going to happen. And the fact that so many people have always just been so scared of being labeled a racist, because once you're labeled a racist in the US prior to this last election, your life was over, ruined, done with. And that was the card that was played for years, which allowed this level of fraud to be able to be committed upon the American people. And if nothing is done about this, that's when people should take to the streets. We shouldn't be taking to the streets and tearing down fences and boycotting businesses and tearing up businesses because ICE is out there snatching up immigrants. But we should be having marches on Washington if Pam Bondi don't do more than send strongly worded letters and pretty binders being handed out at the White House. That's what should ruffle feathers, because the lack of accountability here is astounding. And I really had hope that this administration would come through and hold people accountable. People like Ilhan Omar and her husband. People like Tim Walton, Minnesota. Hold these people accountable for the things that they have done to the American people. But it seems like the closer they get to the fraud in Minnesota, the more power the Democrats have in causing a ruckus, you know? And the administration is falling for it every time. It's just mind-blowing, upsetting, and it angers me to no avail. So will Ilhan Omar be proven? First of all, we have to say all of this is allegedly, because none of this is truly, truly proven to be fraud. I mean, even though common sense will tell you it is, this is all allegedly. But will it be proven that she committed fraud? If so, will she be held accountable? If so, when? Those are my questions. What are your questions? Comment them down below. Tell me what you think about Ilhan Omar. Is she your fan? Do you like her? Do you not? I want to know what you think down in the comments below. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.